Hey guys, what's up? When the next part? Yazzie, my phone is giving me problems. I need to try and get this as fast out of the way as possible, but this dream was extremely detailed and it told me so many things and I need to share them all. Anyway, very well. So these boys that were teenage age, more or less, they were kids, okay, that I felt like in good to behind. I allowed them to lead me, even though initially I started off kind of, but they're kids. What am I doing following kids around? I felt arrogant. I even had a crush on one of them. And I smothered my crush, like my feelings that I had for him. I realized that this is inappropriate. He's just a kid, right? Type establishment thing. And before these boys could show me the way through this mall, they took me on a tour. You know how nobody could be safe and walk around in this environment unless they were completely seared in their conscience, unless they were taken over by the system and they were happy to basically take what would be the tantamount of the mark of the beast, right, in order to be able to buy or sell. No one could just walk around in this environment unless they had subscribed to an ideology. I told you about the woman who led those two people down the staircase, the man that committed suicide. These people went to apply to become citizens of this evil metropolis. So hence why they were left to just kind of exist in here. It's like they were in an application phase. But if you were not actively applying to be here, you were unsafe to walk this place. Everywhere where you set your foot down, there was some kind of a peril, a danger facing you. These boys, however, could just freely walk around on foot without gliding, so they didn't have any post-human powers. They were able to walk around this entire place, even like being like tour guides, showing people the workings, the mechanics of this metropolis without anybody giving them grief. Like, imagine, guys, in your corporate where you work, like having teenage boys in school uniform just come in and start to show people the canteen, start to show people the CEO's office, and even greet the CEO and even twirl around his chair without being apprehended, without being told who are these kids and where do they come from. They're not part of no. These kids were able to walk freely, and it's like everybody left them. People weren't so much scared of them, but they just left them to roam around in this environment with freedom. They were not restricted like everybody else. I'm gonna get to the point real soon. These boys, before they led me out of this environment, they gave me a tour of one particular organization in this metropolis, one company, okay? Remember, I went in there in and of myself as one that lusted and coveted to belong to this metropolis, but I got an attack of conscience going down that hill. I was rescued by these boys. They then showed me the office building, one office building in particular. Mind you, it was the office building where the gentleman that committed suicide landed in front of the offices of, and then he was taken away by paramedics. Well, coroners, because he was already dead. We went inside this company and I was escorted by these boys. I understood that in the absence of these boys being with me, I was in trouble, okay? I was escorted by these kids and they were showing me around. All I had to do was just look around, observe. I walked into this building, right? First thing I noticed, it was empty. It was like the skeleton staff. Thank you. That's the corporate term for it. There was skeleton staff. Yet again, going back to Timothy Alberino's point, where he pointed out that the next industrial revolution is going to use AI for the better part, and human beings are not going to be that needed. There's going to be very little use for human beings. When you walk into a regular corporate, guys, today, it's bustling, teeming at the folds with warm bodies, human beings made in the image of God, working for those companies. In this company, I could count them on my one hand. In this large skyscraper, it was a big company. In the lobby, where it is that it would be likely the busiest environment, bustling canteen area, it was scant with human resources. There was barely anybody, but it was huge. It was massive. And remember, this is a beautiful environment. It was gorgeous. It was such a pretty work environment, but the color yellow was everywhere. Again, fear. I told you the color yellow in my dreams always represents fear. The color yellow was basically the theme color in this company. And no, I know it's not an attack at MTN, even though I can't stand MTN for what they did to me. It was not MTN, this company. It was just some organization whose primary color was yellow. But the color yellow for me always interprets as a fearful environment. It was a big company. Even the reception was not manned. Their reception was not manned, but it looked like a typical beautiful office building with finishes that are to die for. High-end, upmarket, but it was scantily populated. It was scantily staffed. It had barely anybody working there. And for me, I just kept looking around, and what rose in my heart? covetousness. As soon as I walked into this building, I got sad that I don't work here. I suddenly wanted to work here. And not suddenly, I came here wanting to get a job, vele vele. I wanted to belong to this system. I so desperately wanted to work there that I was jealous, I was covetous, and I was saddened by the fact that I did not work there and that I'm highly unlikely going to get hired there because nobody in this metropolis respects people like me. Herein lies the burgeoning covetousness in me, the scant staff members. But guess what was happening to the building as I was walking through it? It was morphing, guys. It was alive. The building was alive. It was alive. It's like the walls could hear me. It's like they could talk. It's like they could grab me if they wanted to. The floor I was walking on, I was not falling around or unstable all over the shop, but it was moving. It was alive. The building was alive. Yet more evidences of artificial intelligence. The organization was run by AI, and AI motioned everything, and it only needed 1 or 2 people working in it. That was the Lord showing me the future that the world is headed towards right now, where companies are barely going to need any people working for them, just machines. And anyone that works there, like I said, just 1 or 2 people so that they can switch on the machines and switch them off. So here it is that I'm working in this company as an observer, and nobody is asking me questions because I'm with these, guys, these like free reign, do what you want to do. Nobody questions them. And I see then the first employee, but this time around, this employee, instead of her gliding, because remember, everybody in this environment glides, but this girl was not gliding, and there was a reason why she wasn't gliding. It was because of what she was wearing. One of the employees rocks up and she's busy. She's on her cell phone. She's working. Like, it's like bumping into some chick working and she's on her phone and she's not even paying attention to you when you walk into like the lobby of a company. She wasn't looking at me. She wasn't doing it. She was just working. But I found myself greatly covetous and envious of her. But I noticed something on her. She was rocking the shoes that she was wearing. That's why she wasn't gliding. I had to see her shoes. She was wearing, those shoes that Chinese women wear, those wooden ones, with socks. They wear socks and these like flip-flops that are wooden. And they walk on them like, those Chinese shoes. She was rocking those shoes with those socks. Like basically Chinese shoe footwear. You get my point, guys. You know what I'm talking about, right? They wear those wooden clogs with the, what do you call this? With socks. They wear them with socks. She was wearing that for shoes. She was wearing that for shoes. Now, what do shoes represent? Either a ministry or a direction or a calling, a purpose, a walk. It's a walk, right? We wear gospel shoes. The shoes, it's written in the full armor of God and God's word that the shoes are the gospel message. We preach the gospel with the shoes. Also, it is written in God's word that how beautiful are the feet of him who delivers what? The gospel news. So here God was showing me what these people are delivering, what their feet, what their walk is, the staff complement in this organization. The few of them that are there, their feet were those Chinese women's shoes with the socks. What was God showing me with that? China. He was just showing me China. What is China, guys? China is a surveilled country. It has a social credit system that rewards people for honoring the government and punishes them for not. And their lives can be significantly devastated if they don't honor the Chinese rules. So what God was showing me by putting those shoes on that girl was that she is an obedient servant. That is why she's working for this company. Much like the way that Chinese citizens that do well in the country are obedient to a communist regime that is surveilling every last one of their moves with facial recognition software, with activity that they do through their credit cards, any motion like they literally are watched 24 hours a day. And if they do good, their credit score goes up and they get freebies. They get given, airport rides, or it's like miles on an airplane. They get given all of these freebies. If your social credit score is high, you are number 1 in receiving jobs and what have you. But if it's really low, you might even be denied a plane ticket to purchase so that you can travel to wherever you want to go. You can't use a train because your credit score is bad. You have to use a bus. Deal. Travel for hours on end while other people get to their destination in just 45 minutes. That's what the social credit score system in China is like. And everybody in this world agrees that it is draconian and dystopian. And in my dream, it was an operation inside an organization as its rules. evidenced by the shoes that girl was wearing. I did not understand it to mean that in my dream, but that's how I am interpreting it now. I nonetheless still coveted that job, that organization, and I wanted to work for it. Not only did I see this girl rocking up telling me the climate of this corporate building, but she went to her boss, and guess who her boss was, to go and ask her a question. It was one of the witches that put sorcery on my life, that hurt me. She was only working for MTN for like 5 seconds, and she got jealous and decided that for the life of her, I need to be knocked off corporate South Africa altogether. That was her boss. So basically, God was showing me through that this system is already populated by certain bodies, people who are sold out to it, and they are going to grow in it, and they're going to easily embrace this system, and as a result, they're going to get perks. She was the boss, and she was sitting down on a chair. Mind you, she was wearing completely black clothes. This girl who was wearing the Chinese shoes, her pants were black, her blazer was like yellow, and her little chiffon scarf was red in color. I've explained those colors to you. Black means just darkness, you're in the darkness, but the socks were white and the shoes were like the brown ones. It's the Chinese system. This girl was young. She was very young. Maybe she could have been like 20, 21, right? And her boss was this former friend of mine who, she was older than me by 1 year. So this year she's 39. She's 39. Okay. This woman, God was showing me, she got everything she wanted. She bewitched all of her friends. She bewitched her entire ecosystem, and she finally got to be powerful. She finally got to be what she wanted to be, a leader, by knocking down everybody else that she might get elevated. And it's people like this that are going to be easily recruited into the system. They will get rewarded with influence and prominence and opulence insofar as they will subscribe to the ideal. And they will be basically worshipped by everybody else that is aspiring to be like them. And this girl, this young girl, this 20-year-old that had subscribed to this and was working for this, was a willing and abiding servant to this former friend / colleague of mine that bewitched the living daylights out of my life. Yeah, God was showing me with that whole ecosystem that there are a certain type of people that have already been accepted by the system, that are working for the system, that are basically far gone, and they will not turn to me because they are so comfortable in the system, and they don't care to obey the rhetoric because it's been what they subscribe to all along. She was shrouded in darkness, sitting in this chair of hers as a boss lady, but unmoved at all as to the travesty of the situation. The organization was scantily populated with staff, but she was among the staff members. So basically, not everybody is going to get to live in this post-humanistic society, but those who are really nice and obedient, you're going to get a place even in companies to work, albeit human beings being made obsolete, human beings being expired essentially in organizations. If you are really good, you're going to get to be among the workforce in a world that is run by artificial intelligence, among the few people that get to have a job. That was this company, and these young boys that were basically my tour guides were showing me, this is the world that you want to apply for a job at. It's even hard to get in. It's even hard to successfully interview, because look at how few staff members there are here, yet the whole world is running, attracted by all that which glitters that is not gold, to apply for jobs to work here. And yet the people who do finally succeed to be part of the system, part and parcel of it, you can count them on your one hand. So basically, those people that succeeded to go down the stairs, sear their consciences, sell their souls to the devil, to try and apply for jobs in this metropolis, most of them, if not all of them, are unlikely even to get accepted by the system. God was telling me that this is such a grand deception that people are flooding to, but most of them won't even get the benefit of it. Most of them are not going to get the benefit of them. It's only going to be a handful of, like, just a few chosen, really willing to compromise themselves to the dogs, people that will get given a place in this new society, in this basically new world order. And yet the whole world is flooding to embrace its agenda. They are flooding to apply for jobs in an environment that's rather just going to use their bodies like batteries in the matrix, instead of actually put them in as warm bodies in chairs. This friend of mine was the boss of this one girl, and they were 2 out of maybe 5 in total staff members in this big company. And yet the whole world was trying to apply. Like, literally, if a job spec says that they only are going to hire 5 people and there are like 5 million applicants, would you apply? I'm sorry, I wouldn't. I would go where it is that it is highly likely for me to achieve success. And guess where that is? the kingdom of heaven, God says, if anybody comes to me, they will likewise not turn away. Yes, whereas in the kingdom of darkness, even all those who apply to be prolific Satanists, witches, willing to sell everything, their souls, just to get ahead, it is only a handful that actually get really far. And it is indeed factual. Look at the world right now of celebrities. How many people are willing to sign their souls over to the Illuminati, and yet they didn't make celebrity status? Recently, I just found out that Black China is really working hard to be a member of the elite in Hollywood, and she is struggling, and she's prepared to sign her soul over to the secret society, the nefarious agenda. Her mother came forward on social media complaining that she's worried about her daughter and she's worried about being sacrificed. Black China is struggling to pierce through, but she wants to. She's happy to sacrifice what she needs to, but she is not being allowed in. She is not being given Rihanna status. She's not being given, who is this guy, Beyonce status. She's not being given Future status. She is not being given, like, basically the seat that she wants, prepared to drain all her blood to get it. They're like, no, we know that you want to give your soul to us, but even this has a shortlisting process, and you are not celebrity material. You're not high enough quality for us to be willing to take you on board. So even Satan has a shortlisting methodology that you might ultimately gain the wealth and the riches of this world, and yet people in their numbers are selling their souls over, searing their consciences, allowing themselves to be handed over to their debased minds altogether, only to come out on the other side with nothing. Next part.